Hi, my name is Jeff Howell and I'm an ambivert. If you're not familiar with that term, it's similar to the term ambidextrous, where you can use both of your hands, both left and right hands, to either write or do whatever. Some people learn it as they go. Like my dad, for instance, he grew up being left-handed. He broke his left arm at one point, and then he had to learn how to write with his right hand and do things with his right hand. And even today, he may still write with his right, but he'll eat with his left hand. Being an ambivert is very similar to that respect, where you can be outgoing and you can do things and you can be around a large group of people like an extrovert can, but then at the end of the day, you're just exhausted, you're depleted, you're wiped out. And I think there used to be this stigma attached to people who were introverts. Somebody who was an introvert would be looked at as being quiet or antisocial or maybe depressed or whatever that might be. That's not the case. See, I grew up being an only child around people that we used to hang out and do things. I did 4-H, and I learned how to do public speaking when I was in 4-H, and I think people expected outgoing. And for a certain respect, I had a really outgoing personality. But I found out at the end of the day that I was just exhausted. It drained me. And I never really understood why until I learned that there was this introvert versus extrovert thing. I think a really good example of this, when I met my wife, I found out she was the youngest of 6, and so she has a very large family. There was this one time that there was a couple of days before our wedding, and we had this small little apartment in Edina, Minnesota. We had probably 25 people in that small little 2-bedroom apartment celebrating with us a couple of days before we were getting married. And I ended up hiding out in one of the bedrooms because I was just so overwhelmed by all the people in a small space. Again, it wasn't until later that I started to explore this idea of introvert versus extrovert, and always sort of prided myself as being a guy who could be outgoing and talk to a bunch of people, but then again, I was just exhausted at the end of the day. And I heard this term from Brian Kramer, this whole ambivert idea. So my wife is very outgoing. She gets her energy by hanging out around a bunch of people. She's an extrovert. For her, that alone time, that downtime sometimes can drain her, and she gets her energy by being around a lot of people. When we have people coming over to our house, and at the end of it, I'm kind of exhausted, but she's still energized. So there's nothing wrong with going out, being outgoing, but also being an introvert. So if you've ever felt like people have said to you, oh man, why aren't you as outgoing? Are you depressed? Are you okay? Or why do you need your quiet time? There's nothing wrong with that. Don't allow other people's expectations to dictate how you regain your energy. Don't let others dictate how you recharge your energy. If you need that downtime, take a bubble bath, watch some sports by yourself, take in some Netflix on your own. Don't let anybody else dictate what you do with your recharge time. If you're an extrovert, go out and recharge. Go be around a bunch of people and have a great time. If you're an introvert, it's okay for have that quiet time, whether you sketch, you draw, you do your photography, or whatever it is that you do on your own, that's okay. And if you're an ambivert like me, when you can go out and you can speak in front of a bunch of people, but at the end of the day, you're just done, you need to be recharged, that's okay too. I use the term peopling. Like sometimes I'm just peopled out. I hope you enjoyed this story. There's gonna be more coming down the road. We'll see you next time.